Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity, your podcast for recovery. I kind of messed up my own intro right there. With your host, Keegan. And they say that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but our guest today knows that strength isn't about surviving, it's about the courage to dismantle the survival mechanisms that no longer serve you. Naomi Morad spent the first 20 years of her life trapped in a cycle of trafficking and abuse, and for years, those memories stayed buried until the birth of her second daughter, which triggered a depression so thick she couldn't see a way out. So, Naomi, thanks for being back on the show, and I gotta ask real quick. You often say that healing is 100% possible, regardless of the past, but
hmm
for someone that is listening right now, how can they distinguish between what's a bad day and what is really just repressed trauma coming back up?
A bad day can be something where things just go wrong. Life comes in the way. We all
Mm-hmm.
have that. But when I can't let go of what happened and it
Mm-hmm.
keeps lingering on and I'm angry about it, I keep thinking about it, it's like it sits with me. It's like, ugh, why does this keep bothering me and take up energy from me?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's sitting on repressed trauma. Then it's sitting on that whatever happened today reminded me of the same kind of pain that I felt in the past.
Mm. Okay. So that's something that is kind of like our last conversation is something about it's in the tissue. It's not necessarily up in our brain, right?
It's in the tissue and it's also in our subcortex, in our emotional part of the brain,
Mm.
where a lot of our subconscious feelings and emotions, our belief systems, everything that's like hidden from us in a way, it's sitting there and in our tissue.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever someone has a bad day, it can be both a bad day and repressed trauma at the same time though, right?
Yes, it can be that the bad day is hitting something from the repressed trauma, and it could be that I woke up today feeling dysregulated, feeling angry, sad, restless, or whatever, and my feeling of feeling restless and angry or particularly sad, and then going supermarket shopping or I'm at work and somebody says something and it pushes on that feeling that I already came with.
Mm.
Okay. And it makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll say everything goes wrong today. Like, I already got up on the left foot and everything's been going bad. But the
Mm-hmm.
reason it happens, we always say when it pours, it rains, is because we keep attracting that response from the outside.
Mm. Okay. So, I mean, whenever you're saying that, it the first thing that comes to mind is like whenever I have a bad day, I know that those little tiny things can just seem to be what sets me off all of a sudden. Like walking past a door and the door handle catches my shirt or something, and it's like, oh, are you kidding me? But I mean, you say that we're kind of attracting those. So how do we not attract that? How do we reverse the signal?
Reverse the signal. Um, Before I go into how we reverse the signal, I just have this picture coming up in my mind. It's like when your elbow is bruised or you cut your finger, and then everything where you go touches your elbow. Like it seems like you can't stop from re hurting that
Uh huh.
elbow.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the emotional pain. Everything suddenly feels
Mm.
sore and raw around that feeling
Okay.
that we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a really good way to look at it because, sometimes you hurt yourself and you don't realize how often you use your pinky until it hurts.
Exactly. Exactly that. That's
Okay.
exactly what I mean. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of weird though, especially if it comes to emotions, because shouldn't we be feeling emotions all the time?
We should be, and I think we are. Um, I don't think we're always aware. And it's hard to always be aware of what's driving what.
Mm, okay. Okay.
And our brain doesn't always make the connection of, oh, I woke up on the left foot because I had an argument with my husband last night, or because I don't know, my friend said this and this to me and it really made me angry, but I already forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Or something went wrong at work and I feel misunderstood or unheard, and it's still lingering with me. And then I wake up the next day and it's there, but my I don't have the awareness in that moment to make the connection between the two.
Mm.
And often when we make that connection, that's when the anger goes away. Or like we have context for the way we feel. And when we have context, then it's not something controlling us and
Mm.
we don't know what it is and we're just like feeling dysregulated.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, okay, then either you can do something about it or you have an understanding. Once we understand, we can cope with things differently.
Ooh, okay. You said cope right there because, I mean, it sounds just like the first step in like AA or NA, whatever, you know. The first step is to realize, like, hey, there's a problem, I gotta fix it, or like have help fixing it. And whenever we cope, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's everything's hunky dory okay with the situation. It's saying that we're going to figure out a way to maintain ourselves through the situation, right?
Yes, exactly. And then we don't feel helpless anymore.
Mm,
But when we don't have context to what is happening to us, um, I think that's the hardest thing. And then we're like in no man's land and we feel unsafe and insecure.
mm,
And we don't have ground underneath our feet. But when I have context and I understand what's happening, even if it's hard, but like you said, then I can cope with it. Then I can do something. I can take steps in order to figure out a way
mm-hmm.
what to do with this. I
Yeah.
have options.
Oof. Yeah. Options. You're not just kind of left being blown about by the winds and everything. You're trying to set your own sail, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So, whenever it comes to, like, say, someone that is in either early recovery, for example, whenever they're getting triggered by something, do you think that that's something that they need more awareness of? Or do you think that they're kind of aware of it? For example, someone that is watching TV and an ad for beer comes on, and they're like, oh, now I gotta go drink. I gotta go have my shower beer or whatever, you know? Like, there's got to be something deeper there, right? Like there's an emotional response to seeing someone else enjoying something that they think that they should maybe, or I mean it can be completely out there and personalized whatever it is, but just as a general example, like they're just because they see it doesn't mean that that is the trigger. Something else is driving it, right?
It doesn't mean that that is the trigger. It might throw you back to, um, I don't know, time where you felt like everybody else was having a great time,
Mm.
but your needs were not met and not
Ooh.
important.
Mm. Okay, so the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yes, the fear of missing out. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so many things can have different triggers. Everyone has their own experience. But
Mm-hmm.
what I can tell you at the bottom line, it all goes back to our core beliefs that are, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough.
Mm-hmm.
And we all create those beliefs at
Mm.
some point in our lives, usually pretty early on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, those beliefs are our coping mechanisms that we
Mm.
take on because whatever is happening in our lives in that moment, um, my parents are fighting the room next door and I have no control over what's happening, so it must be my fault. So I have to be better so
Mm-hmm.
my parents won't fight and they won't argue, or so mom or dad won't get angry. So I
Mm.
have to be better. It has to be about me because otherwise I'm completely helpless.
Mm.
It's a way to feel control when I have no control.
Oh, okay. Oh, so ah, that's a weird way to kind of look at it, right? Because it's not necessarily that we wanted to create that kind of belief, but it's something to that gave us an option because we can't control what our parents do, especially whenever we're so young, and we can only just do whatever we do. And I mean, it's to get better. I'm trying to think of like what else a small child or like my younger self could even think of, and it was either get better or life would just be better if I wasn't here, kind of thing.
There you go.
So, I mean, but so our beliefs really do stem from our thinking, more or less, right? Or do they kind of get spun up by a feeling? Because thoughts and feelings, they act on each other, right? It's not necessarily one creates the other. It's a feedback loop of some sorts.
Definitely. I like the way you describe that. Um, and yes, I guess, thought is triggered, um, feeling connected to the thought. And it's almost like trying to find a solution in that moment. And if I'm the problem, then I can also be the solution.
Mm. Oof. Yeah, that makes sense. And
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh no, you.
No, I just thought I've never thought of it that way, but I guess
Yeah, and I mean, it's weird because it's something that helps us through certain moments, but why can we bring that with us so far into adult life? Because after a point, we should have gotten better, and everything should have kind of resolved if we got better, right?
but we don't really get better because in that moment, basically it's a lie.
Mm. Oof.
That coping mechanism is a lie. As a lie we tell ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to make it through,
Okay.
to find a reason for why I'm in this abusive situation right now, or why my parents are fighting next door, or why my parents are beating me up, or why my teacher thinks that I'm stupid, or it's the stories we tell ourselves in order to cope, but they're just stories.
Mm.
They're not the truth.
Mm.
They're not real.
Mm-hmm.
And then our whole lives we're stuck with those lies, and lies create more lies, and we are afraid of being the person that we really are. And
Mm.
either we begin to drink or take drugs, or beat ourselves up emotionally. Just there's so many ways, but the ultimate reason why we keep beating ourselves up, whichever way it shows up, is we diminish our light, our true self,
Mm.
because we believe that we're not good enough, but that's not true.
Mm. Oof. That kind of hits hard because, like, how do you make someone unravel that kind of lie bundle? Because what is it? The best liars are the ones that can believe their lie. And I mean, if we've been telling ourselves this kind of lie ever since we were oh so young, we're pretty stuck in our ways if we believe that. So what's kind of the beginning piece?
I think the beginning piece is to understand that I'm stuck
Mm.
with feeling bad about myself, with being unhappy, depression, anxiety, like so many people feel these days. Relationship issues, it can be illnesses. Very often, our emotional stuckness, our pain,
Mm-hmm.
expresses itself through illness. It's basically to understand I'm not doing very well coping with my life right now, and I need help. Like
Mm.
something needs to shift and change. Like I'm stuck in my vicious circle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like coming to terms with that first step of understanding, hey, I've got a problem. I need help.
Okay. So whenever someone has gotten to that point of awareness, that's where you kind of come in and help them unravel that whole bundle, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
what is it that you kind of do to help people figure out that what their belief is essentially a lie? Because I mean, that's kind of shifting someone's whole identity right off the bat, isn't it?
I'll give you an example. One of the techniques that I work with is called brain spotting. And
Okay.
brain spotting derived from the EMDR, someone who was teaching EMDR, David Grant, who invented brain spotting. He was teaching EMDR and he came upon brain spotting. In brain spotting, we have a pointer and we say where you look affects the way you feel. So as you're talking to someone, for example, you notice that they're looking to the right, to the left, up, down as they're talking.
Uh
And
huh.
you know they're thinking about what they're talking about, right?
Hmm.
You're aware they're not avoiding eye contact with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, we all do that all the time,
Hmm.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So there's a reason that our gaze goes into a certain eye position as we talk about something because it helps us process everything that is related to the issue that we're talking about in that moment.
Oh. Huh.
So, uh-huh.
Oh,
So
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Go. No, no, no. I'm just like, wow.
It is wow, because once you understand that every eye position is connected basically to an emotion, and that emotion has a felt body sense. And when we then start processing, we find that eye position that is related to the overwhelm you feel in that moment, the sadness, the pain, the anger, the argument you had with your wife, with your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And we start processing from there. It's sort of like unraveling, but not from our conscious mind, from our subconscious. And we're like with our eyes open, we're fully aware, we speak during the process, but we start to process everything that is related to that overwhelm that I feel right now.
Mm.
All the feelings, emotions, the events, it's like different, it's really amazing. It's like everything, every situation in our lives that is related to that issue starts to unravel. It's like cleaning a filter. Like you have a filter that's gotten clogged, that filter of, let's say, I'm unworthy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That happened when, I don't know, when my parents were fighting in the room next door.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after that, that feeling of unworthiness was relived over and over again, different situations. It's like life comes to prove to me that I am unworthy. That's how I interpret the situations and different things that happen in my life. And
Mm.
because I carry that lens, so everything in my life, again, is like a magnet, will attract the same kind of pain until I come to today where I feel so overwhelmed and so detached from myself. And you're sitting in my office. And then we start to process everything that is connected to that. And it's your brain that processes. I don't tell you where you need to go because I don't know. And that's the beauty with brain spotting. You begin to like undo everything that is connected to that. And that's when you have those aha moments. And it's like you embody the understanding because it comes from inside. It's not something somebody told you. It's like your brain begins to regulate itself and make sense of what is happening to you. When the person leaves at the end of the session, I would say 90% of the time, they have so much more clarity and they feel like a weight's been lifted off them and they something begins to shift. Every time something shifts and they come back different the next week.
Huh. And so each week you can go a little bit deeper and unravel more.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, it's not necessarily like there's one and done with some beliefs,
Oh
but
no, no, no. There's no one and done. It goes. Let's put it this way:
uh-huh.
the healing happens fast
Mm-hmm.
compared to any other kind of therapy. And I've been in this field for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is the fastest I've 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 ever seen that people can heal,
Hmm.
and yet still it takes time to heal. There's no magic. There's no I come for 5 sessions and I'm done. No, it's a process.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's kind of a process that we put ourselves through to believe that lie in the first place. So it would make sense that it takes just as long, if not a little bit longer, to kind of unravel that. And I mean, so whenever you say that, whenever we're wherever you look, like whenever I look up over here, like I'm obviously trying to think of something, but that also means that I'm trying to process something at the same time, right?
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah,
Weird. Uh, so like, is the same position the same for everyone, or can it be a little bit different?
it's different for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also like a client can come in and today he will look to his upper right, and next time he'll maybe use that same spot, but he'll also use three other spots that resonate. You
Huh.
know, it's there's no we have a lot of different access points in our brain that help us process our feelings and emotions.
Hmm. Okay.
And the beauty with this work is that we can also access our strengths. Let's say your creativity feels stuck,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you don't know why, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to strengthen your creativity, then we can find an access point that is connected to your creativity.
Huh.
And everything that's gotten stuck with your creativity will start to process there. And again, open that filter that's gotten clogged inside of you
Uh-huh.
and open that filter and that
Huh.
creativity.
Ooh, I like that. That's really cool.
It
Uh,
is.
so one of the things I'm also kind of wondering though, it's like it's not you have to kind of keep your head forward, right, and let your eyes do the moving, or can you let your whole head do the movement too?
Oh, your whole head, your whole body. Often people like will sphere, like with their chair, will move to automatically to the left or to the side, or
Uh-huh.
there's no right or wrong. There's just what is, and we just go with what is, and we trust that the body knows.
Hmm. Ooh, but trust. I mean, that's kind of hard to do, isn't it? Because we sat there and we told ourselves these kind of lies that we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we blah blah blah. And trust is kind of that I guess first step in uh, after the awareness maybe. So it's the second step, like the awareness of like I'm stuck, I don't want to be here, and then the next step is kind of trusting your own body to kind of guide you out of it.
And that's why you're not doing it alone. That's my job to teach you and to teach you how to learn to trust what comes
Mm.
up for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I'm here to hold the space with you. I'm going on that journey with you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like the guide in a fantasy book or whatever, someone that knows the way but isn't going to do the work for you.
Sort of. I can guide the way. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I can hold the space forever for everything that shows up on that way, on that
Mm.
path.
Okay. And I mean, so you say we can clear the filter, but I guess the end goal is to get rid of the filter altogether, right?
When we heal the root cause of what's
Mm-hmm.
sitting at the bottom of the filter, then we don't have to hold the pattern anymore. We don't have to hold the belief system anymore. We don't have to hold the pain anymore, because who's really holding the pain that we're feeling in our lives today? Again, I'll take that example of coming to a complete overwhelm, fear, anxiety. Um, it's those younger parts that are still lost and frozen in trauma. So that little child, that, I don't know, 1 year old, 2 year old, who heard the parents fighting next door, that younger part, for example, still is frozen in fear. And only when, so we do a lot of inner child work also with that, helping those, becoming witness to what has happened to those younger parts, so they don't have to carry that pain alone anymore. Include a lot of parts work. It's like a combination of different techniques, but brain spotting is like, it's like the how do I say that? It's like what holds the space, and within that, like, we have many more tools to support the client
Yeah.
in that process. But yes, basically, when we bring healing to those younger parts and become present to what happened, that's usually when we can let it go, because they don't have to feel alone anymore.
Okay. So it is kind of true that whenever a trauma gets triggered, we do act the same age that it happened, right?
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah.
And I guess that's why so many of us just hold on to that in a sense, because we haven't really worked with the inner child, the part that was wounded, the part that was separated from ourselves. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the further along my recovery and healing journey I've gone, the more I realize that trauma is a separation from myself. It's like I get split, and there's a part of
Yes.
me that just gets kind of left behind, and like it just feels weird, and I don't like it.
It's beautiful how you describe it. Love it. It's exactly that. Part of us gets split.
And I mean, so it's we have to go back and be, not necessarily be the savior, but just be there for ourselves in a sense, right?
Yes. And by being there for ourselves, we're automatically becoming the savior. By learning to become present and witness, we become our savior. And, we so want often for others to come and save us, our parents, our loved ones. You want someone else to come and save you. But the truth is, nobody can, because nobody actually knows what, like you, Keegan, experienced exactly in that moment, in that time. Nobody can do that work for you except you for yourself.
Oof. Ugh. And it's so strange because you hit on one of those things that you're right. I, for the longest time, wanted someone to come along and say, hey, it's going to be okay. We got this. We're going to make it through and everything. But even whenever I did kind of hear a similar message, or maybe even those words from someone else, it still wasn't like, you understand, like I can believe that we're in this together kind of thing. There was always something still lacking that was like, okay, I hear you, but I don't feel you, I guess.
Yes,
Huh.
exactly. Because nobody can fill that void, only you yourself.
Mm, okay. So filling the void, and I mean, that's a strange concept too, because the void is usually like emptiness and nothingness, right?
But that nothingness is that split.
Mm.
It's that separation from ourselves. And then in that separation, there's this nothingness. There's that
Oh.
hollowness.
Oh. Huh. Oof. That's kind of making me sad for some reason. And I mean, it's interesting because we look to fill that hole with anything and everything else. And so I know in our previous conversations, like you talked about disassociation and how it was actually used as a coping mechanism of sorts. And so that could kind of, would that be on the same line as someone like myself that turned to alcohol to kind of fill the hole?
For sure, for sure. And when you create that split, that's the dissociation, because it's
Mm,
so painful in that moment what's happening, that the best way to protect yourself is to create that split. Basically,
mm,
the dissociation is a protective mechanism.
okay.
And yes, the part that goes drinking or takes drugs is that dissociated part that
Mm,
is in that void, in that hole.
gotcha. Um, Oof. So one of the things that someone I spoke to recently, Sarah Potter, she said that in recovery she's learned that like her her uncomfortable feelings aren't going to kill her. And I was like, you have a really good point because I mean, it's one of those things that whenever we're so young and whenever we go through something so traumatic or painful, it feels like it's going to kill us. And I guess that's why that survival mechanism just kind of kicks in, right?
True. But matter of fact is you're still sitting here and I'm still sitting here, regardless of what we've been through.
Mm-hmm.
That means we already survived it.
Mm,
It's not really happening anymore. But it feels like it's still happening
mm-hmm.
because there are still parts frozen in that pain, still parts that are split off.
Mm. Okay. So, oh man, it's so strange that it's like it just gets frozen in time. So, like, it makes me feel like time is really just not what we think it is.
We can definitely have a whole discussion about time.
Well, I mean, so it's strange because we have to both go back for ourselves and we also have to be there for ourselves and kind of let our inner child or let the split version know, like, hey, we made it through. And but a lot of the times there's still guilt kind of there, right? Like one version of guilt is like, why did I let myself do this to myself? Another version is like, well, if that happened, then why did it happen anyways? And I mean, there's a lot to it. So I can definitely see why this is a process. It's not just like, oh, hey, come in and we're going to talk about this one thing and you're good to go forever. Because just because we heal a root doesn't necessarily, or we clear the root, doesn't necessarily mean that another one could come and take its place of sorts, right?
Yes, and exactly. And we heal through layers.
Mm.
It's like, I'm sure you've heard of that analogy of the onion. You peel off the layers of the onion,
Uh
but
huh.
it's really like that. It's like there's so many layers. And I believe that at each given point in time, where our subconscious allows for trauma to surface that we're ready to cope with, and nothing that we're not ready yet to cope with will ever show up.
Mm. Yeah.
I've seen that over and over and over again with my clients, even with myself. That certain things will only surface, like, even though I've dealt with so much,
Mm-hmm.
there's certain memories that will only surface, you know, even now, today, like even this week, like last week, I had memories surface that I couldn't believe that I was still dissociated from that.
Huh.
And I've been doing this work for so many years, but it was such a painful memory that entailed so much
Mm-hmm.
that I was only ready to cope with it now. And that's
Mm.
okay. There's no shame, and our subconscious will do whatever it takes to keep us safe.
Mm.
And we will process whatever we're ready to process.
Okay. I love that. And I mean, that sounds exactly kind of what I've been going through, because whenever I look back at my story, it's not that the story and the facts have changed, it's the way that I interpret it and the way that I'm
Mm.
able to handle it. And sometimes it is like, oh, I did really kind of handle that shittily, or sometimes it's like maybe I could have done a little bit better, but at the same time, I can only say that because my perspective has grown, has increased. It's I can't blame myself for things I didn't know back then. Uh, and that's one of the really hard things to kind of cope with is like, well, damn it, I should have known better, but I didn't really know anything whenever I was like 3 years old.
It's true. We didn't know. We we do the best that we can at
Hmm.
each given point in time. And the best as a 3-year-old is not the best as a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old or later on in life. Like, we grow, and as we grow also, I often have people even go back often to the same memory over and over again. Every time they go back to that memory, they access another part, another layer that they
Mm.
weren't able to cope with before, or they uncover another thing that happened that day that they weren't able to look at before because it was so painful. So even within a memory, there's so many feelings and emotions, so many layers to that, that it takes time. And
Mm.
that's, again, in trauma we say slow is fast,
Huh. Okay.
because when we try to rush through our healing, it just doesn't work. We'll hit a wall, and then we'll say, oh, it's all too much and I don't want to do this crap. This is not helping me,
Mm-hmm.
because we go into our overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really being attuned, what your pace is, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I really love that slow is fast because whenever I was an apprentice electrician, I'd always ask my journeyman, like, how do you get so fast at doing what you're doing and stuff? And I mean, he was fast at what he could do, but he said one of the things was experience, but the thing that he said that has always stuck with me, especially for like trying to not make mistakes and stuff, is that slow is steady and steady is fast. And I was
There
like,
you go.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And I mean, the more I think about it and the more that I've experienced life, it is very much like if I try to rush things, the universe finds a way to tell me to hit the brakes.
It's
um,
true.
uh, so one of the things I'm also curious about is that as we work and we start clearing some of these emotions and we start getting to the roots of stuff, we have to kind of replace that belief or that lie with something else, right? Or will something come and take its place by itself?
I know that there is a lot of there are a lot of healing modalities out there that work, and I studied some of those too, where
Mm-hmm.
you replace the a certain belief with like positive beliefs, or where you have to fill that void.
Mm.
With brain spotting, you don't have to do that.
Ooh.
It just trying to think like how to explain this. Um, in brain spotting, it's our nervous system regulates itself, and
Mm-hmm.
like brings itself back to balance.
Mm-hmm.
And that also happens in our brain. Like today there's a lot of talk about the neuroplasticity of the brain, and how our brain can make new connections
Mm-hmm.
as we brain spot. And also because it happens through the eyes
Mm-hmm.
and goes straightly connect to our limbic brain, um, that correction, that neuroplasticity, the brain makes new connections as you process.
Hmm.
And you don't need to fill in a new belief instead of.
Okay.
Because, like, it's like, think of it like that. your kitchen floor is dirty,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Okay.
And you take a broom and you start sweeping everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And you clean and you clean and you clean and you take a mop and you wash the floor. Floor is clean, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing else that you need to put there and in order to make sure that it's really clean or that it doesn't get dirty. It'll get
Mm.
dirty just because of life, because you're
Mm.
going to continue cooking and are same, like we will get dysregulated again because life happens and things happen and they will trigger other stuff within us, which
Mm-hmm.
is normal.
Yeah.
And then we have to clean up again. But when that floor is clean, it's clean. There's
Mm.
nothing else to fix. And it's the same thing. I know it's a weird analogy, but it's the same thing sort of with what happens in our brain. We don't need to do something else. Once we've cleaned it up, it's clean.
Mm. Okay. Huh. That
There's
makes a
no
lot of sense.
residue.
No residue. Huh.
And if there's residue, then there's just more to work on.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's a little bit of residue left, like in the corner of your kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
that will resurface next time. And then we'll sweep that up too.
Mm. Okay. And I mean, maybe it's like you only have so much energy to do part of the kitchen and then you can move on to the pantry next time or something.
Beautiful.
Okay. Huh. I really like that. And yeah, I mean, it's weird how the body just kind of knows and we like to think our way out of it. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes a
Huh.
lot of sense, but we can't think our way out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, because for me, it's kind of going back to something that I mentioned earlier is that whenever we do this healing kind of stuff, whenever we are changing those beliefs in a sense, we're getting rid of that filter, we're kind of changing how we perceive life itself. So we're changing our experience, and changing that experience essentially changes who we are. And a lot of us, myself included, can be terrified of change, as depending on what it is. And it's like, well, if I change, then who am I after? You know? So how do you help people walk through that? Because that's got to be scary.
Change.
Mm-hmm.
I think once somebody finds themselves on that healing journey,
Mm-hmm.
like you, okay, even though you say, I'm terrified of change, there's a part of you that craves that change and that will move towards whatever it takes to find that something that
Mm-hmm.
feels real to you, that feels aligned for you.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay.
So we
Huh.
can have both at the same time. We can be scared of the change
Mm-hmm.
and we can still also move towards the change.
Hmm. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it makes me think of a weird internet meme. It wasn't necessarily a meme, but it was just something that was saying like growth often asks for one thing, and it's for the courage to let go. And I was like, ooh, I don't like that. Because, I mean, it's growth is asking for me to let go of those lies, let go of those
Yeah.
old things that kept me small, that kept me hidden. And, ugh. So, um, ah, man. And it's just crazy to think that we kind of create that feedback loop to where like, oh, I feel this way, or like I hurt my elbow, and now everything is affecting that spot. And do you think that that's kind of like early signs of like, hey, you need to address this right now, or is that something else?
It definitely means you need to address this, but sometimes it takes people years or a lifetime to address this. And they're
Mm.
just so used to that pain,
Mm.
or discomfort, because that's what they know, and they know how to deal with that pain in your elbow, and they know how to pay attention already, not to re-injure that elbow, even though that elbow hurts all the time. But
Mm,
actually looking at the pus in that elbow is really scary. And I think
mm,
that's what you mentioned before, that fear of change.
mm-hmm.
And often it feels so much more comfortable sitting in your own despair because you're so familiar with that despair. You know how to cope with that. It's been with you your whole life. Basically, you take it to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and as uncomfortable it is, but you know, it's also your stinky, cozy blanket that you feel like you can cover yourself with, and you know how to sit in that
Mm-hmm.
blanket. And starting to take that blanket off and look at what's underneath, that's scary.
Yeah.
Um, and I think only when we're so sick and tired of that despair,
Mm,
then we're like, I know most people that come and see me, they've had it like up to here. It's like they're like, I'm drowning. I can't take this anymore. I'm like at this place in my life where, you know, I can't go on like that, basically. That's what they're
mm,
saying.
yeah, yeah.
And that's when we're ready to say, okay, fine, whatever it takes.
Mm. Okay, so being a little bit desperate, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Often we need to be desperate in order to step onto that journey.
Mm. Okay.
And
And
yeah,
like you said, once you kind of start the journey, there's really no going back, is there?
for many of us, there isn't.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's interesting because we really do sit there and, I mean, you're right. Because for me, whenever I've come across something where it's like, oh, this may feel a little weird, it's also like there's a part of me that's like, but it might feel good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that you really can't tell people how it feels, but uh, we can kind of describe it at the same time. So, like for you, how was like stepping into parts of yourself that you hadn't really visited in a long time, and kind of clearing your blockages?
For me, it was ever since I was 16. I had suffered from manic depression. I was on a high or on a low,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so bad that when I came to my 20s, when I was on a high, I was already terrified of the low that was going to follow because I knew, oh my God, this is like the high is way too high, and I know it's going to hit me and it's going to be devastating.
Yeah.
And I had no middle ground. There was no just being present. There was like the extreme feelings, you know, high, low. And I think most people that feel dysregulated, they don't have that middle ground where they can just,
Mm.
I want to say, just be present. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everybody speaks about being present, and it's at the same time the hardest thing
Yeah.
to just be present with what is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started at some point, the depression was so unbearable and there was no more high, so there was no more relief, there was
Mm.
just low.
Mm.
And that's when I said, okay, i I can't. That's when I had my, okay, I can't go on like that anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
And the first step for me was to, I did the therapy that I went to was somatic therapy through the body. Basically, it was body work. And through the body work was working through the feelings and emotions that are in the body and
Mm.
working through trauma that sits in the body through body work, which is also the first thing I studied. First 3 years of my training was exactly that. It's called the Greenberg method.
Mm.
And that was really the first time that I learned about awareness and paying attention and paying attention. Okay, I'm depressed now. I wasn't depressed 10 minutes ago. I'm depressed now. What happened? What triggered my depression? And sometimes it took me in the beginning, it took me like even 3, 4, 5 days to understand what had triggered that depression. And it's like working a muscle,
Mm-hmm.
awareness. And I eventually I could see the same second, like I would be depressed. And then a few minutes later, I said, okay, what just happened? Okay, somebody cut the line in front of me at the post office and made me
Ah.
angry.
Mm.
But I was like, my dissociation didn't even allow me to be in touch with my anger. Didn't
Mm.
even allow me to notice that every time I get angry, it would just be something that would pass by me, that anger,
Mm.
because I didn't know how to feel anger.
Yeah.
I was
Huh.
so numbed out. And anger was a scary feeling to feel. I was a pleaser. So my coping mechanism was to please, 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 and make sure that everyone is okay and to be in tune to everyone around me and try to meet their needs before they even knew that they had a need. So anger was definitely not in the mix of feelings and emotions. So I had to learn that there was anger and that, it's all of that suppressed stuff that I had inside of me that caused the depression. And
Mm.
as I learned that, I learned, like the one once you learn that awareness thing, that's huge. And that helps with everything else.
Mm. Okay. Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I'm kind of right there with you too. Like anger has been one of those things that I've always kind of struggled with, and I didn't like doing. But I was also very much a people pleaser, and still kind of am from time to time, unfortunately. But it's one of those things that I'm learning to not do, but in the more respectful way, and also learning that no can be a complete sentence, which is also very strange. But um, it like whenever you talk about your awareness, do you actually like feel it in your body, like move around and stuff like that?
The awareness.
Uh huh.
Also, I can be like, oh, my back hurts.
Mm.
Okay. And I can just pay attention to that.
Mm.
And sometimes just becoming aware of something already changes the way I hold my body, the way I walk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that might sometimes an easy enough fix.
Yeah.
And so it can be physical. You can notice some things in your body. And I don't always have an answer why I feel the way I feel, you
Mm.
know, until now. Sometimes it takes me a while to figure out, okay, what triggered this. And when it's very when it's still dissociated parts of me, it can take me longer to get to the root cause of it. And it might
Mm.
take sometimes a week or a few weeks to resolve something because it's still layered, but
Mm.
it shows up. That means it's calling my attention. Brought in my awareness. Hey, there's an issue. Something here wants my attention and what needs to be dealt with. And then I can take care of it.
Mm. Okay. Oof. Thank you. And I hope that I mean, I hope other people can really start to be a little bit more aware of themselves, especially after this conversation. Because unfortunately, we are near the end of this episode. I did forget to ask real quick, where can people find you if they're looking for your help?
They can find me. The easiest way to find me is through my website,
Okay.
naomimorad.com.
Okay.
And I work both in person and virtually. I work with people, to be honest, all around the world. And I see people in my office here in Atlanta, where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I always invite whoever reaches out, I invite people for an intro call, free of cost, just to get to know each other, see if we're a good fit, and if they have questions, and we take it from there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I just gotta say thanks for being on Retrieving Sanity for the third time. And I look forward to speaking to you whenever we rebrand and everything like that too. And I mean, I wish that this was one of those conversations that I had way back when, and it's one of those that I also have to remind myself that even if I had this conversation or even if I heard this conversation back then, it wouldn't have stuck like it does now.
That's true. That's true. And thank you so much for having me for the third time. I love being on your show. I love talking to you. It's always fun, always interesting. And yeah, really huge thank you.
Yes, it's both ways, honor and pleasure. And I mean, it's amazing work that you do for the world because whenever we can work on ourselves and get better for ourselves, that's how we can make the world a little bit of a better place for those around us too. And
True.
hopefully, yeah, and hopefully not go causing some of the same pitfalls for others that we fell into our first time too.
Yeah.
And because hurt people, and healed people heal people, or at least prevent the hurting from happening as best as they
It
can.
it's so true. Hurt people, and the more we heal, people heal also through us just by being in our presence.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we experience it whenever we're ready to experience it. And
Yes,
uh, I just
definitely.
I just hope some people out there are desperate enough to try something new, to receive some information that may be coming from left field from them, and just be able to understand that it's okay. Like, it's okay to have that pain from the past. It's okay to want to change. It's okay to want to heal. It doesn't mean that something's wrong or broken. It's just that we told ourselves a incorrect story a long time ago.
Exactly.
Well, Naomi, again, thank you for being on the show. And everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, try to love yourself, love others if you can, but you got to try to love yourself first. Try to be your favorite version of yourself today. And if you're having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988, text 741 741. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm forgetting. Probably is, but that's for next time. And we'll see y'all in the future. This has been Naomi, and this has been Keegan, and we'll see you next time. Shalom and stop.